Hey guys, how are you doing? The little thingy that I normally set my, oh here it is. I was looking for this. This is where I set my phone when I go live and I couldn't find it, but I got it now. Tonight's topic, forcing an apology. Oh my goodness, forcing an apology. See you guys are showing up. It's Dr. Shawne. I show up here every Monday night, 6:30 p.m. with some kind of communication topic that brings us together, and of course has a forgiveness bent, which I have a passion for forgiveness. And tonight we're going to talk about this conversation of forcing an apology. Forcing an apology. And we've all done it. How many times have been like with your grandkid, it's doing funky stuff, been with your grandkid or your kid, and you're like, and they do something, you're like, oh, you need to apologize. And they say sorry, and they just want to get on with going to play or doing whatever they're doing. There's no emotional attachment to the apology. They just get it over and done with. Are you with me? All right, so I'm going to give you some fast tips. I'm going to give you some tips for adults and tips for kids, and we're going to start with kids. Now, before we get going, I got to do a couple of commercials, and that makes it possible for us to go live. And one of our sponsors tonight is Stop Pain. And I'm excited about this product. I don't know if you've ever used this before or bought it like at your massage therapist or your chiropractors or a clinician of some sort, because they typically distribute to clinicians, and then it costs a pretty penny. I would say it's a chunk of change. And I'm giving some away tonight. I'm giving away the starter kit. Here's gel for Stop Pain. Here's some topical pain relieving gel for migraines, and also this roll-on. This stuff is exquisite. So someone's winning this tonight. I always give away a prize, and we'll do it at the end of the lecture tonight. Thank you, Stop Pain, for playing with us and believing in our mission. Very excited about that. If you're new, if you're brand spanking new, you've never been on a live shot with us or a live Facebook, make sure you say hey, because people are going to say hey back, and they're going to welcome you into the community. It's a pretty loving and compassionate, kind crowd that comes on for the lectures. A couple more things. If you're inspired by our masks, we have Kindness is Contagious masks, and we're actually getting ready to put them up on Facebook. Things have been a little dicey around here. Lots going on. I know a lot of you know that I had my daughter lost her baby, and so we've been just kind of, you ever notice when something horrible happens, you can either scatter and just grieve, or you can come together and grieve together. And I'm just really proud of my family coming together. Can I say that? It's been a rough 3 weeks. And yes, you guys have been real patient with us and with me and being here, okay? So our masks, if you're inspired, we'll have them up on our shopping cart here soon. I think they're already on the Facebook page. We're going to actually do it with Facebook itself. We also send out joy emails. If you're inspired by that, anything I mention, I'll put up links, including Stop Pain, for you to check them out. And so anything I mention, I'll put up little links for it. We also have a Joy is a Facebook group. Joy is a Habit is what it's called. And we really believe that, especially during really, really hard times, that taking a minute to consciously focus on something that brings you joy, whether it's a flower or your dog, rolled over, your dog barked in a really fun way and was wagging its tail, even no matter how hard something is, when you allow yourself to feel moments of reprieve through joy, it's really, really, really great for your mental health. So we're huge proponents of the conversation of joy. Also, if you're part of a progressive company that brings in trainers to do exquisite trainings on forgiveness in the workplace, respect in the workplace, agility, production, productivity, especially the conversation of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we really play in the realm of high pressure communication, always about bringing people together. We'll make sure we put a link up there if you want to say hey to your workplace. Hey, bring this lady and this team in, they're exquisite. So tonight's topic is about forcing an apology. Forcing an apology. And Cynthia, I'm just even loving that you're saying this. That's so sweet. How many times have you done it as a kid or had a kid do it and say you're sorry, right? And so here's the thing though. Saying sorry tends to be difficult for people, and there's many reasons why, and I'm going to talk about it, why it's so difficult for adults. One reason why it's so difficult. And but apologies that are ineffective, or excuse me, that are insincere, are deeply ineffective. And in actuality, what you're teaching your child or your grandchild when you're making them apologize is you're teaching them to be inauthentic, to go through the motions, do what it takes. And cognitively, especially 4-year-olds versus 10-year-olds, they don't have those capacities to unpack it in critical thinking. They just don't have that. So what they learn is that, okay, if I say this, it's over and done with. And I would assert that's one of the reasons why we struggle as adults to apologize. So when it's insincere, when you force them and they're doing it through gritted teeth, they're learning what they should say, what is expected of them, regardless of their internal experience, regardless of how they're feeling. That doesn't work. So saying sorry is a barrier to overcome so children can go out and play and, do whatever they got to do. But that immediate apology doesn't work. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas of what does work. How's that? Okay? Let me see if you guys are saying anything that I need to pay attention to. Nope, not in a second. Not in a second. Children are very kinesthetic, especially the younger 7 and under. Kinesthetic meaning they can feel things. They haven't become so numbed out by the world that they actually can feel. And so let's say your 4-year-old granddaughter, your 4-year-old son smacked his brother, okay? And a lot of times as parents, like we're getting laundry, getting things done, we just want to get it over and done with so it's nice, neat, and tidy, kind of like a 30-minute television show where it's nice, neat, and wrapped up. And life is not nice, neat, and wrapped up. And one of the things you can do for those small children, like 7 and below, is have them have a kinetic experience. So what the heck does that mean? That means, all right, so let's say my grandchildren are Draken and Brielle. Brielle hits Draken. And Draken's, she hit me. So what I'll say to Brielle, and everything that I say, I'll put in the notes afterwards, is like, oh, Brielle, look at Draken's face. He is so sad that you hurt him. And she'll do a double take. And she'll look. And actually what happens is they start to apologize on their own when they start feeling and seeing the impact of their choice. So 7 and under, give them something kinesthetic to notice. Like, I have another 4-year-old granddaughter. Her name is Ava. And she gets very angry at our dog, Fergie. And she might push her away and say, get away from me, Fergie. And I'll say something like, oh, Ava, look at Fergie. She's got her head held down. And it looks like it may have hurt her feelings, what you just said to her. And she'll turn and she'll go, oh, I'm sorry, Fergie. I don't even have to prompt her to say I'm sorry. You're following this line of logic. This is so important for our children. Now, let's say they're above 7 and above and they have some cognitive skills where they can actually do some critical thinking, because this is all based on age, right? So a kid, and of course every kid is different, okay? So let's say we got a kid that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I read an article that I just loved. I'm just looking for it right now. Oh, it was I'll find the article and put it up in this thing too. A parent was talking about her daughter Jen got in a fight with her sibling, and the thing that's critical once they're past that 7 years old critical thinking stage is actions are really, really important. So maybe mom says to Jen, hey, what happened? I said I was sorry. But the response would be from a parent, this is the response you want to say, but did you work to make it right? So that actually causes critical thinking. What can you do to make it right? What can you do to make it right? So the 7 and below, It's having them have a kinesthetic feeling and noticing that this person is very upset because they took their toy or whatever. And the child will naturally apologize because empathy is very strong in us, especially as children. And that 7 and above is like, I said I was sorry. And the question to ask is, but did you make it right? I don't know. Then that's the time it's actually called, for me, investing in your parenting, investing in your grandchildren. Because it takes time and investment to actually teach these empathy skills. Kids can learn it osmosisly, because I'm going to say one other thing about this too, about children seeing us apologize. They actually learn how to do it, right? And but when you brainstorm about how you can make it right, it takes an investment of time, rather than just getting over it and getting through it so you can get to the next load of laundry and get dinner on the table. And I know what that's like. I was a single parent for so long, and to actually take that investment into your children's mental health or your grandchildren's mental health really takes a commitment to do that. And one of the things you could work on, like for a couple weeks, is just say we're going to focus on apologizing or saying sorry. That's what we're going to focus on, and where you actually put your investment in it. So it could be, okay, let's say Jimmy and Johnny are 12 and 14, and Johnny used Jimmy's video games without permission and lost his place on the video game, okay? So now Johnny has to start from scratch, and he's really upset because he lost his place in the video game. Jimmy saying I'm sorry isn't going to be enough. It would be a matter of having these two together and saying, well, what can you do to make it right? And allow them to brainstorm. At first, they're going to need some help and support around brainstorming. Maybe it's, you know what, I'll take on putting the dishes away tonight when it's your turn, Johnny. Like an actual action. It could be as simple as putting away the dishes or taking out the garbage and it's not your turn. It's some kind of an action of amends, because when we go into that adult space, we have not been trained to make amends by an action or to be really empathic to people's feelings, because we're so shame-filled when it comes to apologizing. So now I'm going to shift over to the adult part, okay? Here's the adult part, and I assert, this is my thoughts around forgiveness. I've been studying forgiveness for a long time. And I have no issue apologizing. For the most part. Even if I didn't do anything wrong, I can deeply put myself in someone else's position and validate and empathize what's going on for them in that moment. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because it's a skill. It takes practice. It takes practice to get good at this. And I assert the reason why we struggle with apologizing. And if you want to know about apologizing, 2 weeks ago I came on and did a session just on effective apologizing. So it'll give you some ideas. This to me is a shame/worthiness issue. Because sometimes when we're forced to apologize as an adult, our shame kicks in. Doesn't even mean it's true, because shame usually is more about, it's a distinction between being a good person who made a mistake versus being a mistake. Shame is very insidious, and we can get triggered into it when we actually feel like we are the mistake. So we're not apologizing for the mistake outside of ourselves that we made. We're apologizing for feeling so much shame and feeling like a mistake. So in higher levels of critical thinking, high-level leaders, that's where I play a lot in business, we can apologize when an employee or a subordinate or a colleague comes up to us and says, you know what, you really screwed up that proposal. I hit it perfect. You went in and put in your notes. I can't believe you did that. I was so embarrassed at that meeting. Now, I may have done that. I may not have. Regardless if I did that or not, according to me, I can lay down my sword. I don't need to be defensive. I can totally get into their world and say, wow, That must have really been upsetting. I can tell you're really upset. Tell me more. And they tell me, you changed this word, and you changed this word, and you changed this word, and you did this. And in my world, it's not that big of a difference. And remember, I'm in their world. So I can say, oh, I totally get that. You know what? I'm really, really sorry. And I can see why you're so upset. Moving forward, how about this? Let's see if this will work. Because I may change something again in the future. How about if I make some changes, I come to you first so we can discuss it and make sure that it's a fit, especially when it's your project. I am so deeply sorry about that. And I hope that you'll forgive me. How do you feel about how I've responded? Exquisite. And we have a hard time apologizing because of that change. And, you know, I think about when my kids were little and they'd be so mad. I hate you, Mom. I would say something like, aw, I'm so sorry you feel that way. I get it. It's not an attack on me. I don't need to be defensive. Being able to apologize is about dropping your defenses. Now, do you ever have to force an apology as an adult? Absolutely! Woo! The last thing I want to do is apologize to you, you frickin' jerk. Ever been there? Oh, I've been there. Yes, definitely been there. And here's the thing. It's the same approach that I take to joy. Faking it till you make it. Because I know in the end, when things all come out in the wash, that apologizing is simply about validating someone and validating their experience. That's really what it really comes down to, whether you did something or not. And if you're forced to make an apology as an adult, I encourage you to fake it till you make it and actually ruminate with it a bit to find out what is that hook within you that has you not want to apologize. Now, I'm not talking about stuff like you're accused of, like I'm watching the show called Silent Witness. I love that show. It's about pathologists. And this pathologist, I'm trying to think of her name. She's so beautiful. I can't think of her name. Anybody else watch Silent Witness? It's a BBC show. And she was trying on a dress in a dressing room, and someone was trying to get her in trouble and put stolen merchandise in her bag so that when she left the store, all the bells went off, okay? Obviously, she didn't steal anything. When I was watching this, I'm like, this is so interesting. This would be a time that I would apologize for someone's experience, knowing I didn't steal a darn thing. I'm so sorry that it went down like this. And I'm crystal clear, I did not steal a darn thing. And I can apologize for their experience even when it totally is the opposite of my perception of things. I'm clear I didn't steal. And I'm sorry that it went down like that. What do we need to do to move forward? And, you know, watching the show, she didn't quite do it that way. But what I did love about her, and what I did love about how she handled it, is she handled it with zero shame. She wasn't a mistake. She didn't crumble internally. She's like, I didn't steal. And then they said, okay, fine, we're going to let you go. You're just not allowed to come in this store ever again. And how she responded really touched me, because she said, you're right, I won't be in this store again, because how you handled this was absolutely atrocious, to tell you the truth. You lost a really, really good customer, right? Yeah. Oh, okay, so now I'm starting to get some examples. Okay. I try to be really sensitive to politics, because we are nonpartisan here, okay? We welcome everybody. I was called evil by your sister, okay? I don't mean to laugh, because I pretty much called my husband something pretty awful the other day. We had a flat-out, drag-out fight. And one of the things I've noticed about partners, people we're in love relationships with, brothers and sisters, immediate family, that we're going to hurt each other. We're going to get our buttons pushed, and we are going to hurt each other. It's just part of the deal. That's why I see forgiveness as such a cool skill. It's a cool skill. We are human. We're going to say dumb things. We're gonna do things. And one of the ways that I apologized to my husband today, I called him selfish. Okay, and I did it very viciously. And there was a lot going on. There was a lot I was upset about. And I did talk to him today, and I says, I just, for my own integrity, I need to say this to you. I really apologize for calling you names. Calling each other names will never support a beautiful marriage, us being close, us being sexual, us being spiritual together. And I'm really sorry that I called you a name, and I'll work on that. I just had hit the wall, and I'm really sorry. And there's no excuse for what I did, and I'm really, really sorry. Did he accept my apology? No, he just said, okay. Because name calling, like evil, like that, I'm with you, okay? It hits some deep nerves, right? And I don't want to normalize name calling, and it happens to the best of us. It happens to the best of us. No matter how much skills you have, no matter how much you love a person, stuff seeps out, especially when there's lots of emotion and different things going on. So my hope is that listening to this today about forcing an apology, that you'll really hear that it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the apology. It's more about what can we do to deeply connect and come back together. Making sense? Yeah, I'm with you, Marietta. I'm so with you. Yeah. That's a beautiful way to look at it, Miro. I'm just looking to see what you guys are saying. Yeah, family members are really hard. Yeah. You know, one of the things that I do is I have much higher skill sets in the workplace. Like, because that's what I do. I do communication consulting, and I work through a lot of problems with teams and executives, and that's what I do. And when I'm really stuck with family members, I ask myself to shift and pivot and focus on, all right, if this were a work situation, what would you do, Shawne? If this were work, how would you handle it? And I usually get access to something else that I didn't have before, because families, we got stuff, right? Our closer relationships are a lot harder to deal with, right? Yeah. So let me just reiterate what I did. I'm going to give away a prize in a second. I'm going to give you a couple of examples that I'll put up too. So with kids, forcing an apology never works. 5 years old, 4 years old and under, let them feel the impact of hitting Bobby. Just to reiterate, oh my gosh, you hit Bobby. Look at his face. He's so sad. Oh. And mirror it. Kids older that have some critical thinking skills, 7 and above. I said I was sorry. I know, I got it. What are you going to do to make it right? Actually requiring a boundary of putting in an action to make it right. Use the example of video games. Brother got the other brother out of his list of his video games, so he had to start from scratch. That's like death to video game players, right? And saying sorry is great, and what's one thing you can do to make amends? Maybe he takes out the garbage for the brother that night and it's his turn. Some kind of action that actually makes a difference. The other thing that really makes a difference for kids is you modeling apologizing. When you model it, you're showing your kids how to do it. Because when they're being forced to do an apology, you're actually kind of chopping off their access to their authenticity. Because you're telling them, even though it feels bad, do it anyway. How many times have we done things that feel bad because it's the right thing to do and we knew it was the wrong thing to do, but we didn't listen to our intuition or listen to what's really going on in our bodies because we've learned to shut that off. Same is true with forcing an apology. So modeling apologies, I grabbed a couple. Oh, Autumn, I'm so sorry. I raised my voice and I yelled. That wasn't a kind way to speak to you, and no one deserves that. And next time I'll try to rephrase what I'm asking of you in a more respectful way. Okay? Will you forgive me? Perfect. Rushing your kids. Sometimes we're in a rush all the time. We're constantly rushing our kids. And there's lots of research that points to when we rush our kids that it actually increases anxiety in adults. Because we're always in that fight or flight mode, especially if our parents are trying to hurry up. Anybody relate to that? You know, Tabitha, I need to apologize for rushing you. I know you were in the middle of your project. I'm late, and I made it your problem. My lateness is my issue, and I'm sorry. I should have left more time or given you a warning, a fair warning. Maybe we can work out how we can do this in the future. Will you forgive me? Okay? Modeling it. And you know, when children see apologizing, they normalize it. And it's not that big of a deal. It's not about their self-worth. It's not about their shame. It's not about inappropriate shame. It's just something you do. Just like you say, hey, hi, how you doing? Oh, that hurt. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I didn't mean for that to happen. Apologizing is a very easy, authentic thing to do when it's mild, right? It actually is. It's when we get all that other gunk that gets in the way, right? And we can fake it till we make it. As adults, we can fake it till we make it and put it to the side to unpack it a little bit later, especially if you vehemently don't want to apologize. There's always exceptions, like if someone's accusing you of stealing and you didn't steal. So I hope that the examples that I gave tonight worked. I hope that they gave you some value tonight. Everything I'll put up on the notes when I put it up. Next week. Topic next week. I'm getting ready to do a prize for those just joining us. We have a stop pain kit. I'll show it to you in a second. Next week I was thinking about, what was I thinking about? I wrote it down on a piece of paper. I wrote it down on a Post-it. Writing. Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a lecture on the stages of forgiveness. What are they? How do you know where you're at? What does it mean? How do you assess it? I love the stages of forgiveness. It's a very malleable, non-linear process, and it normalizes anything you're feeling because we think in those stages of forgiveness, we go from one to the next, to the next, to the next. It is a non-linear process. You could be angry one day, grief the next day, then back to peace another day, then back to anger and shock. It's a non-linear process, and my goal for that lecture is to normalize the stages of forgiveness, and it's so different for each of us. Okay, now, other thing too, if you find this broadcast helpful, please share it. When you share us, it makes a difference for our sponsors and the corporations that support us in doing the work that we're doing, like General Motors. Mariella, just email me, message me here at Facebook, or okay, you can do it right here at Project Forgive. I see you asking questions. So this is what someone's about to win. Here it is. It's a little kit. It's got migraine and headache gel that relieves it pretty quickly. I got a gel for physical pain, and I also have a roll-on for physical pain, whether it's joints, sleeping funky, got a sore back, whatever. The stuff is exquisite. Someone's going to get this little kit from Stop Pain. How about this? The person who's going to win, it's very non-scientific how you win the prize. I'm going to tell you the website, and that's going to be what you're going to post. This by no is, I need to say that this is not endorsed by Facebook. This is just happens to be a company that supports Project Forgive. And what I want you to do is I'm not going to even do the website. I'm going to give you a phrase to put in. The first person that puts it in and it shows up in my feed is going to be the winner. The only caveat is you must be US based. Okay, I'm sorry about that. That's just the way it looked. That wasn't a forced apology. I'm so sorry that we're only mailing to the United States because the costs for mailing are really, really high, especially here in the US now. And when we go out of the country, it can be sometimes $30 or $50 to ship it to you. And we don't have those kinds of resources, so that's why we limit it to the United States. So if you're not in the US, I'm so sorry, okay? This is what I want you to put up. First person I see that has it. I'm going to tell you what it is, and it's only one P because the company is called Stop Pain with one P. So it's STOPAIN, Stop Pain. First person that puts it up with one P is going to get this shipped to them. Who's the lucky winner tonight? I see you guys showing up. I see you guys showing up. Welcome. Oh, people are welcoming the new people. Just looking for that first comment on stop pain with 1P. Clara, you're close. It says stopping. I need stop pain. S-T-O-P-A-I-N. First one that says S-T-O, close, S-T-O-P-A-I-N. 1P, Barbara Carey, it's you. Barbara Carey, it's you. Congratulations, everyone cheer. Barbara on. Message me right here, because me and Hailey are the only ones that actually see the messages here, so it's very private. And especially if you want to send a question or a thought or something to bring up in lecture, I'd be happy to talk about it, and it's very private. There's no one that accesses it besides me and Hailey. And so, Miss Barb, you need to email us your address, or message us here, your address and your email address, so you can track the packaging, okay? Because we do the tracking. You guys are so cute. I love you guys. I love you for trying. And I love that you guys are congratulating each other. So, forced apologies. Next week, we're going to be looking at the stages of forgiveness. And that's it for tonight, hey? Okay? Thank you for all your beautiful prayers and love and kindness around the stuff going on with the family. And I just really, really appreciate you. It's just been a joy to be here tonight and be with you. You guys give me a lot of energy, too, so I appreciate you. Okay, big love. I'll see you soon.